We have several scripture readings this morning. The first is from Matthew, chapter 13. When the disciples came to Jesus, they asked, "Why do you speak to the people in parables?" Jesus answered, "The secrets of the kingdom of heaven are for you to know, but not for them. To those who have, more will be given until they have an abundance. Those who have not will lose what little they have. I use parables when I speak to people because they look but don't see. They listen but don't hear or understand. Isaiah's prophecy is being fulfilled in them, which says, 'You will be ever listening but never understanding. You will be ever looking but never perceiving. For this people's heart has become calloused. They hardly hear with their ears, and they have closed their eyes. Otherwise, they might see with their eyes and hear with their ears and understand with their hearts and turn back to me, and I would heal them. But blessed are your eyes because they see, and your ears because they hear. The truth is, many prophets and holy people long to see what you see, but never saw it, to hear what you hear, but never heard it." And also from Matthew, "The kingdom of heaven is like a buried treasure found in a field. The ones who discovered it hid it again, and, rejoicing at the discovery, went and sold all their possessions and bought that field." Or again, "The kingdom of heaven is like a merchant's search for fine pearls. When one pearl of great value was found, the merchant went back and sold everything else and bought it." And from Proverbs 3, "Happy are you when you find wisdom, when you develop discernment, for she is more profitable than silver and brings yields greater even than gold. She is more precious than rubies. Nothing you can conceivably desire can equal her value. She holds long life in one hand, riches and honor in the other. Her paths are pleasant ones, and all her roads lead to peace. She is a tree of life for those who embrace her, and all who hold fast to her find happiness. For it was through her that the Holy One laid the earth's foundation, through her that the heavens were set in place." And from Proverbs 7, "My children, treasure my words and honor my teachings. Value them and you will have life. Keep them as the apple of your eye. Tie them around your fingers. Inscribe them on the tablet of your heart." Many ancient words for our present day consideration.
You weren't getting a little passive aggressive, were you? Well, thank you for it. It was a lot of stuff. I just couldn't decide what to cut off. So don't feel bad if you blocked it out. Hopefully we'll do some unpacking here. We're doing a series on what are called the Sophia passages. These are Jewish mystical wisdom, particularly the centuries right before Christianity came along. And what I think is really important to realize is that the people that heard Jesus preaching would have heard this first. And so when you have Jesus saying the same words that Sophia says, had you been there at the beginning, you wouldn't think, well, why did Sophia steal Jesus' stuff? You'd be thinking, okay, Jesus is talking about something deeper than the literal meaning, and steering back and back to this kind of cosmic wisdom, which is really important because what's happened is that Christianity shrunk, right? And that particular part of the message was lost. Our passage opens up with the disciples asking a question that you've probably asked yourself. Jesus, why don't you please just come out and say what you mean? Please stop talking in riddles. Just say it. I'll believe anything you say. I'll do anything you say. but I don't even know what you're talking about. We kind of understand that. Again, had you heard the Sophia passages first, you would realize that when Jesus is telling parables about the kingdom, this realm of God that he's talking about, that he's using a parallel of wisdom, what's being called wisdom. When Jesus talks about himself, only me, I am this, I'm that, he's quoting Sophia. Now, because Sophia was a feminine image, the good old boys in the church weren't that crazy about that part. But I want to suggest that until we understand this Jewish mysticism and mysticism from really all around the world, we're skimming at the surface of Christianity. And you wind up with the kind of churches that are defending guns because they're so afraid they don't have the courage to turn the other cheek. See, that's not good. When you have a church defending economic policies that impoverish the people that Jesus said to feed, house, and clothe, you realize something vital has been lost. And one of the things that's been lost is Sophia. When you hear the word kingdom or kingdom through a male voice, you're going to think of power. And you try to make sense of your life with the idea of a king in heaven governing everything. Problem is, it doesn't make sense, does it? The world would not be like this if there were a sane kind of puppet master orchestrating everything. These symbols are pointing to something deep and cosmic, something that you don't have to be a Christian to believe in. On the contrary, if you have to be a Christian for this to make sense, then it doesn't make sense. You understand what I'm saying? If the reason that you're buying this stuff is because you just don't want to go to hell, you know it's a pathetic problem if you have to threaten people with eternal damnation to sell it. Right? That's a religion that is in rigor mortis. Jesus talks about the pearl of great price. He says it's like a treasure buried in a field, and the person sold everything they had and bought the field. It's like this incredible pearl that was found, and the merchant sold everything they had to buy the pearl. But then he doesn't say what the pearl symbolizes. There's something that's life or death. It's the most important thing of all. And you need to sell everything you have and get it, but I'm not going to tell you what it is. Now, why would Jesus do that? Part of what's been lost, I believe, is that Jesus was not trying to get you to believe. He certainly wasn't trying to get you to believe in him. He was trying to get you in contact with the creative principle of the universe, whatever that is. He was talking through himself to this deep, profound, common life that we live. Now, the first couple of generations, the first couple of 100 years, the people seemed to know that, but along the way it got lost. As I was saying in Sunday school today, you have a genius for the first couple of generations, and then the Three Stooges take over. And they're going to explain it, what Einstein meant. I don't care if it's Jesus or Buddha or around the world, people have a profound spiritual experience and they want to share it. But we're not at a place where we can hear it at that level. We're not deep enough. Our context isn't big enough. And so they don't want to give us answers. They're going to trap us. Because what's worse than ignorance is belief where you don't really believe in it. You don't understand it. You think you believe in it, but you don't understand it. Dante called this the dream of awakening, where at a low level of consciousness, you're hearing a symbol that's supposed to talk about depth and vastness, but you don't know to open the umbrella, right? You've just been given a symbol, but you were told it's a fact. So what we're going to try to do today and throughout this series is to realize Jesus is talking about awareness, not belief. Talking about awareness, not power. And I think this stuff is going to make a whole lot more sense when we approach it like that. What did Jesus mean when he says these people have eyes, but they don't see? They have ears they don't hear. Their hearts are calloused. They see, but they don't perceive. What I hear that saying is they're everything but aware. So what the parables are going to try to do is wake up this awareness in you and me, to deepen it and broaden it till we have the kind of context where we can love in the way that Jesus is trying. And again, it doesn't just have to be Jesus. Buddha, the great mystics are not trying to rob you by brainwashing you. They're saying that you were born with a kind of wisdom, a kind of awareness that is the most important part of your life. But we trade that away to get something else. We use our wisdom to get something that doesn't feed our soul. So what these teachers are going to do is tell us stories, give us images that help us kind of feel outside of this restricted worldview that we have. Let's go to the first slide. The Sophia passages say that wisdom is like this incredible jewel that's so important you should sell everything else to get it. Now, all that's saying is make that the organizational principle of your life, right? They're not really saying you have to sell everything. But if you do, we can talk after the service. No, it's not talking about that. But what makes this such an incredible symbol is that this is the only organic kind of jewel that they knew of at the time. It comes out of an animal. And you know the story. It's like a grain of sand or some irritant that starts to become an ulcer, and then the animal coats it with this mother of pearl stuff that later then becomes this pearl. Now, what that means is you're never going to find this kind of wisdom outside of yourself in the world, finished. In a book or a preacher, or it has to be born outside of you. If it's not the blossoming of your experience, then it's going to mislead you. It comes organically out of you. Now, with masculine imagery, you can't really get there. With feminine imagery, it's giving birth. So Jesus is using feminine imagery because we're not just made like pots, as we saw a couple of weeks ago. We're born. We're the children of either the cosmos or God or whatever that is that gives us life and being. So wisdom, you don't have to go looking for it. It comes from your awareness itself. So when you look at the great religions of the world, there's awareness practices. How to get back to that? Because you're a biological being and you can't stay awake all the time. You can't stay alert all the time. So the skillful means helps you kind of dip into that when you can and then come back out. But it's like a lightning bug. The lightning bug can't stay on all the time, right? Your consciousness is glowing out of your humanity. So the key to realizing what's being talked about when it talks about the treasure buried in the field is knowing that you're the field. Right? You are what this miracle is taking place in. But it comes through you. You don't find it outside yourself. Then the second thing I think is important is let's go to the second one, I guess. Thank you. The pearl reflects around it. I'm standing in the way there. It reflects everything around it. So it's a wonderful symbol of universality. You look at it, but it's like a little inverted universe. It reflects outside of itself. What you're looking at right now is called the web of, or the net of jewels of Indra. Indra's web, Indra's net of pearls. Have you ever seen a spider web with dewdrops on it? What a great symbol of universality for our little mammal brains. It really helps to get inverted like that. But there's lots of life, the life process that we're taught by religion to deny. It's light against dark, it's good against evil. And your body has both of those in it. And you cannot separate them fully. I hate pain, you hate pain. I hate fear, you hate fear. But if we do not claim those and transform those, they will be our worst enemy. If we can over time say yes to our pain, to stop asking, why did this happen to me? And ask instead, what can I learn from this? What can I learn about life from this? It's not fair. It didn't happen so I would learn it. I hope. You talk about a Nazi teacher. Yes, I've given you leukemia to teach you kindness. I'd rather not learn about kindness if that's the cost. But if I have leukemia, I'm going to go ahead and learn depth, sensitivity. That's why people who have suffered, for example, like cancer, are so tender to each other. They get it, they understand that we're not disconnected. We are part of a web. And what we can't recognize in ourselves, sometimes we can recognize in each other. In the Gospel of Thomas, you have some of this kind of wisdom literature. It wasn't included in Scripture. It's a thing called the Nag Hammadi texts. And, well, I'll go ahead and read it so I won't misstate Thomas. This is saying 77. Jesus said, I'm the light that is above them all. I am the all. The all came forth from me, and the all attained to me. Cleave a piece of wood, I am there. Raise up a stone, and you will find me there. Now, the me is not Jesus, right? Jesus is trying to lead you to wisdom, to the pattern, to whatever the creative pattern that has given you being. And you find that by going deeper in yourself and broadening it and opening up, because awareness doesn't discriminate like thinking does. Awareness is going to take in what. Okay. There are some bad things that happen. Just kidding. I'm kidding. So, one of the things that makes us so miserable is we try to make sense of our lives in terms of our kind of self-centered worldview. And what wisdom does is say you can make sense of your life by looking at the universe, but you can't make sense of the universe by referring to your life. So, okay. And I'm going to demonstrate tolerance and peace of mind. Then the last thing that this symbol of the pearl does, or the diamond, or all the different symbols that are there. is it gives you something to hold on to. We've got more. Something to hold on to when you're lost, confused. This happened in the first service too, so this isn't something y'all are doing wrong. I'm being punished. Next week will be a much more traditional sermon because awareness, as simple as saying, is the most important thing in your life. Every friendship, every relationship, you know of it because you're aware. And that awareness is one of the great miracles of the universe. You don't have to believe in God for this to be a miracle. For consciousness to rise up out of dead matter is pretty weird no matter what the source of it is. We will look at that as this series continues. But when Jesus says you're the light of the world, and he's thinking Sophia, it's helping you realize that your consciousness illumines the universe. Holding on to that, not trading away for something else, keeps your life centered and stable. Which is why Jesus doesn't give you beliefs. He gives you riddles, because that's how awareness comes into the world. I've said it before. You teach religion with catechisms. You teach awareness with steel wool. You rub off the propaganda of the culture, of the thought, the distorting memories. The parables are taking us back to our core, the ground of our being. And that gives us a center for living. You heard the story of the Sphinx, where you have this philosopher who goes and asks, the Sphinx asks him, right? Answer my question and I'll grant you a wish, or something like that. And it's like, what is it that walks on 4 legs in the morning, 2 legs in the afternoon, and 3 legs in the evening? Do you remember what the answer is? Humankind. Humankind. We crawl on all 4s as we start out, then we walk on 2 legs, and then before too long, and of course now with walkers, it can be even more than just 3 legs. But it's telling you belong in time. The worst mistake religion makes, one of the worst, one of the worst crimes, however you want to look at it, is treating itself like it's the answer and that life is the problem. Religion is the question. What is my meaning? What is my purpose? What I really long for in life? And the answer is life. Right? You don't have to go to college to find that. It's all around you. Everything is talking to you, but you have to realize it's not the question, it's the answer. We have to stop asking, why is this happening to me? It's not. Okay? But put your pain in this larger context, and there'll be some meaning there. It won't make it fair. It won't make it right, but it will make it meaningful. It'll give you the opportunity to transform that into a gift. So we've gone through this. We've kind of looked at that question. Why does Jesus not just say it? Why talk in parables? What good is it to say that wisdom is like a pearl if they don't say what the pearl stands for? Wisdom, awareness. You go deep enough in yourself, the answer's right there looking at you. You are a light shining out of the darkness. But the reason we have eyes but don't see
First of all, is we're looking for an answer in religion instead of the questions, the parables, the riddles. The pearl reminds us that the gift is right there. Then second is when we try to shrink the world to make sense in our little lives, instead of accepting the invitation to open ourselves to the greater life of which we are a part. And then finally, to realize that you don't have to go looking in the field for the buried treasure. What the parable is telling you is that you are the field, and the treasure lies buried within you, only waiting to be born. Well, that's my struggles with the text. That's the best I'm going to do, at least today. So we'll take a moment for you to think about, you don't take my word for it, what makes sense to you.